This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
So if anybody spent any length of time around me, they know I like to do this. I have this little habit. I don't do it as much as I used to, but I don't know, Pops, but do you remember it's you that got me started with this?
Oh yeah, I'm the one to blame. Yes.
So what we're talking about is how I got started smoking cigars, and
very special moment.
But growing up, you and Mom were super anti smoking
Cigarettes
specifically.
When you were growing up, I smoked a pipe.
Occasionally, I do remember the pipe. I remember my brother Paul picking up cigarette stubs at in the parking lot in the grocery store and putting them in his mouth. He thought they looked cool or whatever. And you're like, what the heck are you doing? And so anyway, smoking was super taboo. At least that's the way I perceived it. Mm-hmm. And then, what year was it, Pops? It must have been 2013, 2014, somewhere around there. We had just moved back to Kalinga from Bakersfield, and you came over. It must have been 2014. I'm going to say 2014. And you gave me this little box, and in the box were a bunch of cigars. It was a little travel humidor, like a little desktop type humidor. I thought, man, this is the most random gift coming from somebody who said never smoke, and now you're giving me cigars. I'm like, I don't even smoke. I have no desire. I've never done that. Actually, that's not true.
No, it's not.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
It just clicked.
It just clicked. Yes. Whose idea? So the first time...
It was mine.
It was your idea. Okay. So the first time I ever remember smoking a cigar, I had just finished this program.
At Hume Lake.
At Hume Lake.
A Joshua Tree.
Who does not condone cigar smoking, just for the record. But my roommate and I, we'd finished. So it's this, for those of you who don't know what it is, Hume Lake is a Christian camp, and they have this program called Joshua, where it's kind of like a gap year study program, where you learn like life skills, you get to do some travel, you learn more about the Bible, things like that.
Oh, don't just forget, they learn a lot more than the Bible. They had to memorize all of Philippians.
Yeah, you had to memorize the book of Philippians.
Do you still have that memorized?
Oh, no. No, definitely not. And but during this program, there's a lot of different like rules that they kind of like. It's like to kind of build. What's the word I'm looking for? Fortitude, like discipline.
Integrity and discipline.
So some of the rules were, at least when I was going through, you could not listen to music. You were not allowed to listen to music. If music was playing around you, that was fine, but you could not like request a song or anything.
Oh, I would not survive.
No music, no social media, no television, no movies. So basically like a media fast. And then so there's all these things, and you couldn't date. You couldn't be what was called even. So even would be one guy and one girl having a conversation, or two guys and two girls having a conversation. You couldn't do that. I think once you got to 3 and 3, it was like, okay, the group's big enough. Like that's okay. That's safe. Okay. And so anyways, after this long period of like no media, no television, no dating, no nothing, I was like, what's something I can immediately do that will make me feel like, hey, I've broken this fast, so to speak. And Pops, I guess you came up with the idea of smoking a cigar.
And we're coming down the hill, and first time you had it, it was so funny because now you're an aficionado. But the first time, you're trying. How do I hold this? Which end do I light?
Yep, the typical question. Yeah.
Did you guys stop and get some kind of like fancy cigar, or was it like just the gas station cigar?
No, I picked up a couple of cigars. They weren't Cubans or anything, but they weren't Roy Tans either. So.
But yeah, and so then I was 18, yes. And then fast forward, I was probably about 24, somewhere around there. I get these cigars, and I'm like, I'm not going to smoke these, and I just set them up on my my dresser because I don't like throwing things away either. But I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with these. I'll figure it out later. And then about 6 months later, you give me more cigars, Pops. You're like, here, in case you're running low, here's more. I'm like, I haven't smoked the ones you gave me originally. So now we got a problem because now the box won't close.
Okay, right? but his problem was solved when Johnny, and this will tell you a lot about him as a person and as a real estate advisor, is he decided to keep a little book, a little book. and record his tastings of cigars. And I didn't realize how many different kinds of cigars there were.
Yeah, neither did I. When we got started.
He ended up with hundreds of examples in his little book. It got to the point where there were not many cigars left on the planet that he has not tried at least once. And it was amazing. And when you think about that, that's exactly how you do everything.
Yeah,
you are very methodical,
yeah.
thoughtful. You take notes, and you make sure that you learn whatever you're doing.
Yep. And so after that first cigar, I was like, this is dumb. But my humidor still won't close. Second cigar, I don't get this. Churchill seemed really cool, but I don't understand this, And then after the third cigar, I was like, oh, this one's good. This one makes sense. And then it was off to the races. But now that's something that we share. Because actually, I was smoking cigars for a while, and then you weren't even smoking cigars.
I was doing the pipe more.
Yeah, and so now it's something that we share where, when you come around, try to have a cigar or go to one of the local lounges and just spend some time talking. It's probably, honestly, one of my favorite things in life right now is just taking the time. Like, I've met so many incredible people. I've developed so many wonderful relationships from cigar smoking, from just sitting down in lounges and meeting new people.
That's because you're focused. There's no social media. There's no music. You're going back to Hume, and you're focusing.
I don't know if Hume would agree with that. But.
You're focusing on the individual right in front of you, and that is so rare in today's society.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it really is an opportunity to sit down and just have a conversation with somebody.
And focus on each other.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, what was the difference about the third cigar from the second cigar? Was it that it was a good cigar and the other ones weren't good, or was it just you had enough and you're like, I like this now?
No, it was a good cigar. I can't remember. I can't remember off the top of my head what it was, but it was an aging room, like T112 or T114, I think was the cigar.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, this is good. Because like now that I've tried a lot of the different cigars, there's flavor profiles. Mm-hmm. There's different grades of cigars in terms of, it's just Chevy, GMC, or Cadillac kind of a thing.
Okay.
And so
every once in a while you get a Ferrari, and those are the,
Yeah, and so it was definitely the cigar.
Okay, so you went from the Ford and you found the Cadillac on accident. You're like, this is what I want.
I went from the little beat up Pinto to okay, I can do this. This is fun. And so so now, and maybe someday if the boys are interested in it when they're old enough, I think that'll be fun for me to sit down and have a cigar with them and just hear about their life, what their aspirations, their goals.
After they spend however long at Hume Lake with no contact.
We're just going to recreate my entire childhood for them. But speaking of that, Pops, like, what is some wisdom what is something you've learned maybe that you would tell your younger self, like you when you were my age, and you see pattern, like, I'm a fairly new dad. The oldest kid, Jack, is a little over 2.5 right now, and so I'm seeing patterns starting to form in him where I'm like, that looks familiar, Or is there anything that you've noticed in my life that you're like, ooh, that looks familiar?
Wow. No. You are such a better father than I was.
I don't know about that, Pops.
And you are much more patient. And you look at things before you speak. Be quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to become angry. And you have taken that to heart. And when I look at how you interact with your children, you make it a point to do certain things, and I did too.
You were phenomenal.
I made a point of doing certain things, and if I was going to impart any wisdom to you, it would be to continue to do what you're doing. Always be patient. Be seriously quick to listen, and you do that. You listen before you speak, and you ask questions before you speak. So these are the things that are, I don't know if they're from me or from Mom, but you are inherently a listener. And that's a good thing.
It's hard when you're doing a radio show, though.
Right?
Yeah, you got to be talking. But
I've seen you with other people, and
you're
not
right.
just
I do
your
ask
children.
a lot of questions.
You listen, and you have eye contact, and people naturally gravitate towards that because when they're speaking to you, they truly feel that you're the only one in the room with you.
Yeah. But so you and Mom, I always tell people, like, they're like, because there's the people who, I had a coach one time and he told me this because I was going through a situation with one of the agents, and this agent was having a hard time, and I just kind of kept helping him and making excuses for why he wasn't achieving certain goals or why he wasn't doing certain things that he was supposed to be doing in a professional setting. And finally, my coach just pulled me aside and said, "Hey, Johnny, like, I understand that you're trying to show this guy some grace and give him the benefit of the doubt, but there's two types of people in this world." So the first type had a parent, like a dad who was an alcoholic and a mom who was a druggie, and they'll never get anywhere in life because dad was alcoholic, mom was a druggie. And he said the second type of person had parents who dad was an alcoholic, mom was a druggie, but they want more, and they cannot imagine continuing that cycle because dad was an alcoholic and mom was a druggie. There's one with the victim mentality, and one more with the mentality of, hey, I have to break this cycle, I have to make a change. And so what that relates to your parenting style, you were not an alcoholic. Mom was not a mom was not
disclaimer.
A druggie. Just to clarify, mom was not a druggie, but you set the bar really high.
I did.
You set the bar. I did. You set the bar really high, and so did Mama. And so that is something that I am personally striving towards. Granted, like, I'm not saying you were perfect, even though I was the perfect son.
Sorry, I shouldn't laugh.
No, it's a joke. And
Yes.
so, but I just wanted to give you and Mom kudos on that, because you guys did a phenomenal job raising me and the twins.
Yeah, don't ever in your life with your children ever settle.
What do you mean I settle?
Oh, well, that's okay. You can do that. You can. How about this? Always strive to spur them on to do something that they've never done before.
Yep.
Whether it's sports, whether it's a class. And once they get into that, don't let them quit.
Don't let them quit. Yeah. I don't even remember that ever being like an option.
There wasn't an option.
I never even thought to ask if it would be an option. It was so off the table. But let's when we come back from break, let's go over a little bit more about some of those challenges and things that you imparted and that we have now carried forward into our real estate business.
Okay.
Back after this.
Okay, man, I'm sure this has happened to you where you get so excited about something that you do it, and then afterwards you're like, oh, wait, I should have waited a little bit longer and thought about this.
Maybe I should have called my wife first.
Yes.
About getting this new truck.
That's what happened with Colin, is he found a new house that he really wanted, and so he bought it, but then needed to sell his old house in Roseville first. But the problem was most houses were taking 2 to 3 months to sell. And he's like, I can't pay 2 mortgages. So he called our friend Johnny Jennings and the Tom Days real estate team, and they were able to sell his house in Roseville in 2 weeks.
Wow, that's so cool. That's why Mike and I trust Johnny and Tom with Made for More Realty, why they have so many 5-star Google reviews, why they sell more houses than anyone else in all of Sacramento. So you should too. If you're curious what kind of offers you would get on your home, just Google Johnny Jennings Made for More Realty. Again, Johnny Jennings Made for More Realty. Even if your home is not in perfect condition and you don't have the time or the money to do repairs, he can help. Again, Google Johnny Jennings Made for More Realty, because you get more with Made for More. License number 581837.